Yo, Boona here. This is different for this channel. This is a gaming channel, but I'm changing the direction for this channel. I'm burnt out of the gaming videos. Hopefully I still have your support. If not, that's okay. Welcome. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to be reading Reddit stories as I walk down the streets at night in the dark. My stepdad killed himself and I feel nothing for him. My mom had been dating this guy for about 5 years at this point and engaged for 3 of those years. We call him Ray. Ray had wiggled himself into our lives with warm smiles and by telling us everything my mom wanted to hear. My mom hadn't thought about dating since she had to get a divorce from my father due to his unstable alcoholism. Long story short, there was a lot of trauma from that. My mom had been very focused on my brother and me, making sure she could provide for us. After a while, Ray was spending so much time at our house. About 2 years into their relationship that they decided he should move in. It was a fine idea since they seemed to be making a good life together, and I liked seeing him take my mom out and make her smile, as I felt she would be in a good place for when I would be gone for college. My brother has learning disabilities and my mom is his caretaker, so I was the first to leave for college. After he moved in, however, he started to slowly change. He would gradually start more fights, disagree when it was unnecessary, and embarrass my mom in front of people. My mom is definitely not a damsel in distress and has been wearing the pants of the house my whole life, so she did not just sit and take it, but she did try her best to make things work. I remember hearing one of their fights from my room, and he was basically yelling at her, and she was calmly talking to him and not matching his energy. She couldn't see the state of their relationship for what it truly was because he would always show his nice and charming side. When things got too tense, and he was also financially abusing her more and more to a point where trying to break up with him was so much harder than before. She even took him to multiple therapists to try to make things work. But therapy only works if you can reflect on yourself, and he was incapable of doing that. About 4 months ago, my mom had finally had enough. And after seeing multiple attempts to get him to leave and him saying she'd have to drag him out of there, she was now sleeping in my old room and locking the door at night. One Sunday, Ray got up after 1 p.m. and asked if there was anything he could do to change my mom's mind, and she said no. She was packing up my brother's stuff as well as some of hers, and they were leaving for a bit. When they got back, she wanted him to be completely moved out. My mom walked out of the living room and into the main area of the house to pack up more stuff, and that's when he did it. My mom said she remembered wondering what had exploded before walking into the living room and seeing the blood and brains everywhere, as well as Ray's body behind the coffee table. She said over the phone, all she could do was scream and scream. I've heard those screams come from her when my father attempted suicide back when I was in middle school, and I can hear them now as I type this. He wanted her to see that. He wanted the last thing he did to be traumatizing my already traumatized and healing mother. He chose to go out loud and in the main room of my childhood home, and I hope he's rotting for what he made my mom and brother see that day, for turning a place where I took my first steps into a crime scene, relieving my mom with a total of $2,000 and a $10,000 bill for the cleanup that happened directly after because of his own brain matter, for not even leaving a note or saying goodbye to his son in Texas. My family has already healed from some shit, and we are pretty tight-knit and tough, but this broke my mom for a while, and seeing her like that, frail and numb, made me want to kill that man a second time. I'm grateful to whatever above that he didn't use the gun he was hiding that day to kill my mom and brother. But God, it felt like that's exactly what he did for a time there. Yes, my mom instantly got her and my brother therapy for both of them together and separate. Yes, she instantly surrounded herself with loved ones and people instantly flocked to her to help, because when I say everyone who meets my mom loves her, I mean it. It just makes me so angry even now. I have had deep talks with her since then. In those moments when my brother leaves the room and it breaks my heart, she doesn't give me the details because she wants to protect my mental state, but this is what she said to me. I think I'm doing good. Yeah. Is he what I want to see every time I close my eyes? Yeah. Do I see him when I'm going to bed? Yeah. But, the other night I was trying to go to bed and I realized I was thinking of something other than that day, and I think that's progress. Even topping this now, there are tears as I'm just so angry for what she had to go through. Ray, fuck you. I hope you're rotting in hell where you belong. For anyone dealing with anything similar, it's not your fault. My mom tried everything to help this man, and at the end of the day, people will make their own decisions. You will heal, and things will get better. Wow, Ray, what a piece of work. I feel sorry for anyone who has to go through domestic violence, arguing with a loved one, and then just feeling like no matter what you do, like you can't force anybody to change. They have to make that decision on their own. So you either have to remove yourself, which you was trying to do, and Ray decided to do that. I love how this one the guy in the comment section is just like fuck Ray. Another comment. Weaponizing your own demise to hurt somebody is definitely one of the worst things I've ever seen someone do or heard of someone doing. That really sucks. I hope that your mom can find some peace and you can find some too. It sounds to me like you're on your way. The one thing I didn't want to bring up is I really hope that it doesn't change your opinion on people who commit suicide, because not everyone is like this. And it's hard sometimes to separate people from their deeds. That I get that, but I don't put this on anyone else but him. He shows this, it's obvious he had some issues, and it sounds to me like you're aware of that. And so is your mom and your brother. I really hope that you understand that this comes from a place of understanding. And you're obviously entitled to how you feel because that's how life is, right? Feelings can't be wrong. Wishing you all the best. OP replied, thank you for your words. I do not at all think ill of people who die by suicide, as I myself have also struggled mentally, and so has my entire family. I have immense sympathy for my dad who attempted when I was younger, even though it's complicated. He was struggling so bad he genuinely thought that taking pills and just making it look like he never woke up would be the best for us. I see how my post can sound better, but trust that it just was for Ray and not in general. Not only did Ray traumatize that family, but he also left a $10,000 bill. I'm definitely not one to hate on anybody, especially the dead. I kind of wish he had left a note so we could see from Ray's perspective, even though he may have not seemed like the best person. Coming from the same subreddit, I miss my older man. Hi Reddit, I, 19 female, have really no one to tell this to in my life with no shame, so I'm telling Reddit. I miss an older man that was once in my life, 41 mil. Let's call him Matt. For backstory, I was working as a server at a restaurant every weekend for extra cash while attending university, and during my Saturday night shift everything was normal. Until I got a table with these two older men, Matt and his father. I greeted them kindly, just doing my job, and there him and I made eye contact. The most attractive man I've ever seen in my entire life. For context, I've never had a thing for older men, or really any men in general, honestly. I consider myself borderline aromatic, asexual until him, as the thought of intimacy grossed me out. But back to the story. After we made eye contact, he made me such a beautiful smile. I'll never forget. And I took the orders, and once I came back with his beer, I felt kind of bold. And besides, slightly flirting with male customers always get you a bigger tip. And I asked him if he was single, and he said he was 100% single, and I smiled and walked off thinking it'll just be left as that, as he got some kind of ego boost thinking he still got it. But when I came back over with the bill, he brought back up the question I asked about him being single, and followed up with him asking me if I was single. And I said yes, I am 100% single as well. Then he proceeded to ask for my number and immediately started planning our first date. This felt insanely surreal to me because I went through grade school K through 12, being not very conventionally attractive at all for visual reference. I grew up very tall and very thin with absolutely no curves or shape or size to my body at all until I hit 18 after graduating high school. And I never wore any makeup or very feminine hairstyles or clothing, so male attention in any context is something I've never experienced. Until I graduated high school and started attending university. Even then, the male attention in the university was just lust. I genuinely think I've never even hugged a guy outside of my family until I met Matt. But anyways, back to the story. I gave him my number, and he asked me how old I was, and I lied saying 21 because then I'd be young, but still a fully legal adult, and not a barely legal teenager, although I'm visibly very young and do not look 21 or even 20 at all. People often say 16 or 18 thinking I'm still in high school, and then followed up with asking him how old he was. But I felt like he knew I was lying about my age and stopped himself from calling me out on it, and just told me it didn't matter at all. And he wanted to get to know me and to not worry about his age since he's about as old as dirt. Then during that week, we planned our first date for next weekend when our schedules were both fully clear. That Saturday, I was extremely paranoid, thinking he was standing me up or something criminal would happen to me. So I continued to delay our date until I finally sucked up the courage and said, who cares, YOLO, and went out to the movies, and there he was, waiting for me, after waiting for me all day, and we greeted each other with a hug, and his scent is something I'll never forget. I even still smell it now sometimes. And he paid for my movie ticket and asked if I wanted any food from the snack bar, and he was so respectful, not pushing any boundaries or being physical at all. Once we were seated, I sat next to him, and I kept feeling this need for him to touch me and feel me and embrace me, as just sitting next to him with no physical contact at all felt so off to me for some reason. And so I asked him if he could hold on to my thigh, and he did without wandering his hands anywhere inappropriately. And eventually, we ended up in each other's arms while we talk about things. And eventually, I asked him if he can finally tell me how old he is. And he told me he was born in 1984, and he's currently 41, going on 42 this year. I talked about how he hated his age, and how he felt so old. That I told him my real age, telling him I was born in 2007, that I was actually only 19. And he just smirked. And I don't know if the smirk was from he liked that I was younger, or that he knew I was lying all along. After the movie, we walked around on the riverside holding hands and talking about ourselves and making some jokes about our age gap. And after a while, we hugged each other goodnight and went home. And then he asked me out on a second date on the next day. And then he took me shopping, telling me to get anything I want. And so I did, which wasn't much. LOL. Just a few pieces, clothes, and basic beauty essentials. And he started talking about sex and having kids. And eventually it got to a point where I told him I wasn't ready for either of those things, and that I was in fact a virgin that's never even had her first kiss, which flabbergasted him, since he's so ignorant about what intimacy is like for a woman, and thinks conventionally attractive woman equals huge sex life. But he acted like he was okay with me not having sex with him. But he acted like he was okay with me not having sex with him immediately. But he wasn't okay with me being a virgin that's never even held hands with a man until him. Since he felt like he was stripping me from experiencing the world. As well as during the date, I became sad because in public, people kept giving us weird looks and whispers due to us having such a visible, huge age gap. And I didn't want people to judge him or myself assuming the wrong things about us. And we just opened up to each other about a lot of things during the date. And at the end of the day, he dropped me off at my house and gave me this huge long bear hug that felt like a goodbye. And he even gave me a kiss on the neck, which I'll never forget, and told me he will see me again on Saturday when we were both free. As the week goes by, which felt like the worst week of my life, he canceled last minute and said work got in the way. And that whole week he felt just too busy for me, which made my heart ache so badly, and eventually it led to him texting me once every other day to just ghosting me. And now I'm left with the thoughts of what went wrong. Is it because I had no experience? Is it because he felt like I was ashamed of him? Or was it the fact that I wasn't ready to have sex or kids yet? I don't know, but I cry every night because of this. And I'm even crying while writing this. And I'm just asking, how can I get over this? How can I make the pain stop? I am so exhausted. With 0 upvotes, I'm very intrigued at what the replies are. I'm gonna give my opinion afterward. Do you also miss the button that makes paragraph breaks? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that was kind of a hard read because the lack of commas and her just repeating and after every couple words. OP replies, I don't know what that means. I like this comment right here. Sounds like you realize you're barely out of childhood and maybe grew a brain. Yeah, I like to think, what does a 19-year-old and a 41-year-old have in common? That's number one. And two, even if they get along, does that mean they have to date? There's so many more factors than getting along and being attractive to the other person. You can get along with somebody, but that doesn't mean you're compatible with them. And the huge age gap and the pressures behind all this and her being a virgin. In my opinion, if you're going to be in a relationship with anybody and there's a huge age gap, you got to be dating to marry. Like, marriage has got to be on the forefront. If you're just fooling around, having sex, or casually dating, it's not really the move. But yeah, of course, if you're like 21 and older, then I guess it's okay. I mean, it is okay. It's completely fine if you're 21 and up, but 18, 19, fresh out of high school, dating anyone 40 is definitely on the extreme side. I know when women usually date older at that age, they're usually like the highest they'll go is like 26, 27 at 19. Anything above that is just like, okay, you're way out there. Moving on to a new subreddit, this one caught my eye because this is something that's been going on for a while and not a lot of people talk about it. It's just something we're just now starting to talk about in the year 2026. Hooked up with my high school teacher. True story. This one's pretty short. You won't believe me because it's Reddit, but here we go. I'm from the UK. This was the last year of high school, age 16. Long story short, I had a hookup relationship with my business teacher. She was a newly qualified teacher, fit as fuck, and a similar nationality to me. Let's call her Miss P. She was 24 at the time, and I was 16. Looking back, she definitely groomed me, but I loved it. Miss P brought me a separate phone to my personal one. She would order me takeaways and stuff and pay for my weed. She would book me taxis to come see her at her friend's house. A couple times after we fucked, she would just cry as we cuddled. Looking back, it was actually some fucked stuff. The sex was amazing, though we would fuck like absolute animals, and she taught me a lot about how to please women down below. Now here's the fucked up part. Miss P also got me to take pictures of the exam papers and bring it back to her so she could guide the class. This was one of those exams where you do an hour a day in the exam hall, go back to class, and come back the next day. Like I said, she definitely groomed me, but at the same time, she was going through a lot and heartbroken over her long-term boyfriend. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she manipulated me. It all seemed real to me at the time. The only person I told at the time was my older sister, and she was livid. But at the time, our home situation was kind of messed up. Majority of the time, it was just me and my sister at home and looking after the house. So I guess my situation got swept under the rug. To this day, she's the only person I've told. I didn't tell any of my friends at the time. I wasn't stupid. I knew word would spread, and Miss P drilled it into me that no one could find out. This is not some Reddit fantasy bullshit. I know it's a fucked up situation, and me writing this out has definitely made me realize she groomed me. LOL. Oh well. Hooking up with your teacher is every boy's dream, and at least I could say I've done it. So yeah. Now 8 years on, I found her on LinkedIn, and she's killing it. So I don't think I'll tell anyone, but at least I told Reddit. I kinda got off my chest. I'll tell my kids one day too. First reply. That is ... a lot. The whole time I'm reading this, I was thinking, lucky bastard. But I would not think that way if you were a girl. That's fucked up in my part. Looks like we got another story in this thread, but let me give my opinion on the original post first. Yeah, that teacher's a pedophile. No matter how you want to put it, split it or slice it. She's a PDF file. We don't take these situations as serious as we do when it comes to woman on man. Oh my bad, woman on boy, because that's a boy, 16 years old. But let it be the other way around. It'll hit national news. Now, more cases are coming out day and day of women teachers grooming young boys in high school. And I think it's even crazy to think that the original poster felt some type of sympathy for the teacher because she had just broken up or was going through things with her long-term boyfriend. You weren't just groomed, buddy. You were underage. You were molested. And it's a crime. It's a crime that shouldn't be allowed because we got idiots around here full of lusts that are just like, oh, I wish that was me. And I'm not gonna act like when I was in high school, I never was attracted to any of my teachers. And I don't mean in a romantic way, like actually like sexual in a sexual way. I'm not gonna act like that was never a thing. But you have to think of the mental and psychological consequences that has on both parties. More than likely, that 16-year-old boy is not the only one. He's not the only victim. I doubt he's the only victim. That's why it's an issue. Creeps are creeps. You don't know what level they'll go to. Yeah, that boy might have been 16, but you don't know who's around her in her personal life when she's off work, when she's not at the school. There's other young kids around. There may be other boys. She may seem like a trusted guardian. And she's a teacher too, so that even gives her more validation in that. Imagine you leaving your 7-year-old son with this teacher. Like this is your cousin, and you leave your 7-year-old son with this woman. You don't know what she's capable of. Actually, you do. You do know what she's capable of. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now let's see what this reply says. I was hooked on a fresh out of college teacher in high school. I never got a kiss or to have sex with her. I did tell her that I had a crush on her and wouldn't make it awkward or known. At the time, I was fed up with school. I wanted to quit to get a job so I had my own money. She was perfect as in personality. Never saw her lose her temper. Never saw her out of school spirit. I still follow this teacher on Facebook. She's married and has a family now. She still knows I have a crush on her, but I don't ever comment or make it weird. I just occasionally browse her Facebook photos to think about what I felt back then. She had long brown hair, I always wore her college colors of orange and white. I always liked the competition team. I remember telling her over and over that I hated school and wanted to quit school to work. She would always be sweet and tell me I had so much potential as she could see it in my grades. Little did she know her class was the only class I cared about. I would do my homework for her class just so she could brag. She once came to me and said other teachers said I slept through their class or just ignored my assignments. I told her the only reason I did her assignments was because I for one had a major crush on her, which she was aware of, as well as I knew it. I completed my assignments and did what I was supposed to. She wouldn't try to move me to a class where it was a different teacher of the same subject. She was a literature English teacher based in the USA. When I was in her class, I realized she always wore cute skirts, dresses, or jeans. I would either sit near her desk or the back of the classroom hoping to get a glimpse of her panties. It never happened, so one day I finally decided to quit. I told the front desk I was quitting school, signed some paperwork, and was told to clean up my locker and bring the books to the office. They said they would return them to the teachers. I decided against that. I returned my science book to my science teacher personally just to make a huge scene in front of my peers and interrupt his class. Then I walked to her class. I gently locked on the door. She walked out and I told her I was returning my book that I had just signed the papers to quit. She asked why, and I told her as much as I liked being in her class, I didn't like the other classes I had to sit through all day just to enjoy her one class. I told her now that I wasn't a student, if the possibility was available, I'd love to take her out even if just on one date, even if nothing came out of it. She gave me a hug. I'll never forget it. It was the first hug she had ever given me. I parted ways and never got my dream. She still lives in my memory, and I can drool over her on Facebook. I'm glad you got your fun. I wish I had the chance to have had mine. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Yeah, there's definitely gonna be young boys who are looking at their teachers and actually think they have a chance. And you know what? They're not wrong. They're wrong, but they're not wrong in terms of having a chance. Because some of these teachers are actually down. And I don't know what kind of fucked up mental they got to sleep with a 15, 16, 17-year-old. But we need to start protecting these young boys. At the end of the day, they don't understand the consequences. I think one of my friends killed our mutual friend. Please, please, please bear with me. I'm not a detective, neither an officer, and I might as well be a hypochondriac. Also, I'm not really in the mental state to write cohesive paragraphs. Thank you in advance for your patience. I am, or was, in a small friend group, trio, with friend X and friend Y. Now, friend X has been doing shrooms for a while. I regret not doing anything more, but I told him multiple times to stop. But drugs are taboo. We're all young and like to experiment. I've always been sober, never taken anything, always hard denied. Even cigarettes I never tried. Friend Y did also try shrooms though. However, recently, about 3 months or so ago, he got his hands on DMT. After that, it's not been the same. Now I want to make it clear, I did not know this until recently, and it's only just clicked. Sign 1. About, I want to say 3 weeks ago or so, before final exams, or graduation exams I think you call them. I got in a call to play games with friend X. Slowly the conversation developed into salafisy. He said after taking DMT his eyes have opened. He said he knows how the universe works, and that we're in a constant loop of dying and repeating the same events until we break free, and that he did break free. I told him he has no way of knowing if it's true, for we cannot know. We're cursed to know enough to not know enough. He said he does know, and that he is here on earth to help people break free. And this is where the first signs appeared. He said morality is subjective, and he could go kill friend Y. Yes, he name dropped friend Y, and nothing would change because morality is human made. I chucked it up to Y being a close to pick a name from a dozen. My mistake. Sign 2. After that, we played games again. Late into the night again. I told him plainly that I do not want to have conspiratorial or philosophical discussions again, and that there's beauty in a simple life of joy and ignorance. His reply was that I am stuck in a loop, and that if he was me, he'd kill himself to speed up the process of breaking free. Towards the end, I made a joke along the lines of, dude, if we're not meant to eat at night, why do fridges have a light inside them? Just dry humor, but what he said shook me. He said something like, if humans are not meant to be killed, why are they so squishy? Haha. After this, it was clear that I needed to distance myself from him. Or at least that's what I thought was best. I don't know if I regret it. I don't know if I should regret it. Not handing him to capable people, not being there enough, not telling anyone. I feel it's too late now. But he was not stable mentally. I was scared to be there for him. Sign 3. Present day. We finished our final exams a couple weeks ago. Ever since then, I've not heard of friend Y. He was always secretive about his future. He never talked about college plans or career plans or anything like that. Come 3 days ago, and friend X is messaging me, saying he's worried about friend Y because he's not been online on anything in 2 months. So I decided I would reply once. I pointed out how secretive he's always been. That maybe he got a job and doesn't have time for games anymore. He said, dude, I'm seriously worried. What if he died or something? Alarms start blaring in my head about the worst outcome possible. Again, I brush it off. Come on, man, it's never that crazy type of thinking. Today, he messaged me again. I answered his message. We spoke a little about how we were worried for him, what he could be up to. I start recording the messages just in case. He says maybe we should go check on him together at his place someday. We agree that there's something seriously wrong. And he says, well, whatever he's doing, he was a good guy. May the universe rest him. Sincerely, amen. There's nothing I can do. I sarcastically send, dude, you're saying this like he died yesterday. Haha, he's probably got important things to do post high school. He says, in any case, man, you never know. We send a few more chats for a minute. I try to keep my unserious mask on. And again, he drops, well, I don't know. It is what it is. Rest his soul. And the conversation abruptly ends. To me, in my brain, it loosely sounds like they met up. Friend X did something horrible to Y. And then he started planting seeds for an alibi. Things like sending messages and calling him still, talking to me about what could have happened and so on. I checked the news reports in my hometown. Nothing came out about any missing people or murderers or anything of that sort. I checked the news reports in my hometown. Nothing came up about any missing people or murderers or anything of the sort, which lifts my spirits a little, since it's a very small city and grave things like this don't go unreported often. I know fucking Reddit isn't the best place for this, but I just need it off my chest, and I need the internet's opinion before I talk to someone in real life. It's ass backwards, I know. Please tell me there's some links here. Tell me I'm not crazy. Help me out. And I thank you if you read all of this. I don't know how to streamline it. I really don't. I'm sorry. Man, I would not trust this guy at all. I would not trust friend X at all. He didn't really mention it in the last part of the story, but it talked about doing drugs. They talk about doing shrooms and different chemicals, different medications, different pills, etc., nutrition, whatever. Sometimes it affects people in different ways. And something as extreme as mushrooms, I mean, me personally, I've never done drugs. I've never even smoked weed before. With mushrooms, with any drug, especially a drug like mushrooms, it could have affected friend's ex's mental like so bad. It could have given him some type of chemical imbalance. It could have very much messed up his mental. And that gut-wrenching feeling, that gut feeling that something's off, usually 9 times out of 10, something is off. We all have intuition. And if you believe in God, you believe in convictions and also warnings. That feeling that you get, that gut feeling, it's usually true. The first reply says, also do not go anywhere near this guy. If he wants you to go check on him together, whatever happens, do not go with him under any circumstance. Yeah, the OP's life could be in danger. If this was me, and my final statement, if this was me, I would go to the police, I would remain anonymous, I would ask questions, I'd try to contact friend Y's family and all the above, and I would distance myself from friend X. Before going to police, I would actually see what the heck friend Y is, because if anybody can't get into contact with him, then obviously he's missing, and if he's missing, then friend X definitely has something to do with it. That's pretty good. That actually sounds like a horror movie I've watched before. Going back to the original subreddit that I was on earlier, True Off My Chest. 12 hours ago, I had a fiance and a best friend, and now I don't know who I am anymore. My fiance, 33 male, cheated on me 32 female, with my best friend, 32 female. 12 hours ago, I was happily engaged with my boyfriend of 4 years, looking to officially get married in December, in the best phase of my life. And then I got a phone call. Me and my fiance are from the same country but met online while being in different countries. Him being in our home country and me in Europe. We would talk every day, even until yesterday, share with each other all our thoughts, our dreams, our passion. I had been in a few relationships in the past, but never had I felt so secure and understood. To top it off, he adored me, in public and private. He was close to my parents. He even went with me to my friends' weddings. And overall, I felt like I had found the one. More so, when he proposed to me via an amazing treasure hunt through the city kind of proposal, I was truly overjoyed. We already spoke to each other's parents and we were looking to sign the papers at the end of this year. And he was to move out to Europe after that. My best friend I have known for 14 years. We met in undergrad, became the closest of friends along with my roommate from undergrad. Until yesterday, I used to consider her and my undergrad roommate as my rock, the ones I could lean on no matter what. Interestingly, my fiance recently got a new job, which he moved to the same city as my best friend, and I was overjoyed that finally the two closest people in my life would be together. My fiance won't be alone in a new city, and it could bond before me and my fiance get married. I had my life mapped out with a loving partner and solid friends, and everything seemed perfect. Till I got the phone call. A call from my best friend telling me that a few days ago, she and my fiance were hanging out, got drunk, and kissed each other. She went on to say in excruciating detail how it happened, and how again yesterday they were in a similar situation, and he tried to make out with her again. Honestly, I pretty much blanked out as she was speaking. I could hear a strong ringing in my ears, and my heart beating so loud it could pop out my chest. I immediately called my fiance, asked him to wake up. It was 2 a.m. where he lives, and asking him what happened between the two of them. He chose to lie even then. He said, "We hugged." I kept on pressing him, telling him he isn't stupid, that he doesn't know why I'm asking this question, but he kept being silent, no answers. I put my friend into the same call and asked her to repeat what she told me. She did. She portrayed it like he came on to her, and he kept on denying and saying she was also kissing him back. And that whole lever spat between them that I was being witness to made me want to throw up. I told them they both are dead to me and hung up the call. Even as I write this, I don't know if I have fully accepted this information yet. I don't know what to tell my parents who are planning their only daughter's wedding. I don't know what to tell my friends here, to whom I've always supported and praised my fiance to no end. I don't know what to say to myself, whose entire world got shattered in a matter of minutes. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I can't seem to close my eyes without picturing them and the exact details it was narrated to me. And it makes me sick. I don't know what to do of my life anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. Edit. I just want to thank each and everyone who showed me kindness and support in the comments. It was overwhelming to see so many people empathize and offer solace. To say the least, it wasn't the easiest for me to share such personal details of my life online. So to see you all understand my pain and give me strength, I can just say thank you. I spoke to my parents and let them know what happened, bearing too much details. They of course were horrified, but vowed to stand beside me no matter what. At least I am blessed with a steady family. I also reached out to a close friend, and she has also been nothing but supportive. It's safe to say I am still in some form of shock. My mind goes from over-analyzing every text, every conversation in the last couple of weeks, to filling with rage, to wanting to hear his side of the story, to feeling just an emptiness inside of me. I don't know yet what I would do from here on, but I know I will do what feels right for me, and at a pace that feels right for me. This is why I like Reddit, because people share similar stories. So we also have a reply that has a similar story. But let me give my opinion on the original post first. This is the kind of story that you would see in the movies, that you would see in TV shows. And it's true, it happens in real life. Not calling the story fake, but if the story is fake, it's pretty cliche. Gotta be honest. Fake or not, I just want to talk from the man's perspective. As a man, right? If I have a fiance and she's in a whole other country for some reason, she's in a whole other country, there is no woman, not even her best friend, that can be that close to me. For them to hug and be kissing on each other or anything like that, to even get drinks together. They're too close. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying hi and bye and getting to know each other. There's nothing wrong with a little phone call or anything like that. But even then, I'm not even that interested in my girl's best friend. Though I'm marrying her, I'm not that interested. I'm just be completely honest. We are humans. We have temptations. We have urges. Our urges have no morals. Me personally, I've never cheated on anybody that I've been in a relationship with because I know boundaries. I know what situation not to put myself in with anybody else. I'm not going to be on the phone with any other girl unless they're family. And if I'm on the phone with said girl, it's definitely not going to be at 2 a.m. at night or even 10 p.m. at night. Not that they said that was the case in the story. I'm just giving some background of like how do you end up meeting up with this girl and having a drink and getting drunk together. There's so many different steps it takes to get to that. It's having too many drinks. It's linking up together. It's linking up with only you two together. Like there weren't any other friends around that y'all could have came with. It was just one-on-one. That was the biggest red flag. You have to hold yourself accountable and you have to prevent the situation before it even happens. It's not like you ran into the best friend just walking down the street and y'all just so happened to be next to a bar and decided to have a drink. That's not what happened. Y'all met up, y'all decided to drink, which why do you have to drink? Why do you feel the need to drink? I don't have anything against drinking, but why feel the need to in that moment? And why drink to drunk? It's foolish, honestly. It's just foolish. But let's read this reply. OP, I've gone through something similar. My ex cheated on me throughout the 5-year relationship, and the last person was a man, no less. He denied it, but eventually the truth of it all got out from mutual acquaintances. He was gaslighting me to the point I was getting ready to admit myself to a psychiatrist's ward. The thing is, OP, you are the same person you've always been. You have people around you that truly care about you. First and foremost, your parents. I lost my mom, my only parent, only person that truly cared about me and loved me. Trust me when I say this. Your parents want to make you happy and okay. Any normal parent wouldn't push their child to go on with their marriage with someone who will ruin them. Turn to those that love you. As for the other two, I'll only say that they're both adults and made their own choices. It is highly unlikely it was just a kiss. And why wouldn't your friend immediately cut contact with your fiance and then immediately let you know? She instead went to meet with him again. As for the fiance, his actions are clear, more so when he tried to deny it all. Behavior is a language. It is up to you to decide where to move from there. People that have low integrity and morals tend to repeat their behaviors. It's not about you at all. It's about them. They have no strong core. If it wasn't your best friend, it would have been someone else. If it already didn't happen. I personally look at my situation as a blessing. Imagine you were married, had children, had housing, or even a business with such person. That would be extremely messy to get out of. Emotionally, this is like a train hits you, and it will be terrible. Then you'll make a step forward, 10 steps back, 2 forward, and 5 back. Eventually, it will even out, and you'll keep going forward more and more. I suggest therapy if that's doable for you, to help you more easily navigate through this. As for what to say to people, you don't have to ever get into details. You can say what happened. It is their shame, not yours. But if you do not want to, you can say the same as I do. I have discovered my ex has serious psychopathological issues that he willingly ignored nor sought treatment. Any sort of relationship with him was just out of question, as my health, both mental and physical, come first. If people try to ask for further details, just say that everything is said. People with more than 2 brain cells can easily understand. Don't waste any more energy on either of them than necessary. Everything you have to get out, you can always say to your parents, and first and foremost, your therapist. One step at a time, OP. Now you know who they truly are. It's time to come back for yourself. Well said. That might be the greatest reply in this video. Not necessarily any scary stories, not necessarily any creepy stories, but definitely a lot of drama and trauma. Should I start doing scary stories next? I don't know. Let me know. It's been your boy Boona. Peace.